Part 1, Books 1 through 9, The Wanderings of Odysseus, Prologue. Tell me the tale, muse of that man of many changes, he who went wandering so far when he had plundered Troy's sacred citadel, and many the men whose cities he beheld, whose minds he learned to know, and many the sorrows that his soul endured upon the deep the while he strove to save himself from death and bring his comrades home. Of these things now, daughter of Zeus, O goddess, tell us, even as thou wilt, the tale. Ere this, those others who escaped death's stroke had reached their homes at last, delivered from battle and the sea. But him and him alone, though he still longed for home and wife, the nymph Calypso, a mighty goddess, kept imprisoned within her hollow caves, and longed to make him there her husband. No, not when the day came when the gods granted, as circling seasons passed, that he might once again return to Ithaca. Not even then. With those that loved him might he find a rest from strife. And all the gods felt pity for him, all but one, Poseidon. Still, with wrath unceasing, he strove against the good Odysseus until he reached his home. Where have we seen Poseidon unleashing anger before? Where did we just see that? Whom was he unleashing at? Yeah, at Perseus, right? Odysseus tells his story. 10 years have passed since the Greeks destroyed Troy. At this point in the story, Odysseus has been shipwrecked and has made his way to shore half drowned. He has been taken as a guest at the palace of King Alcinous. At a feast in the palace, he sits among the guests as a stranger. The king and his lords do not know he is the famous hero Odysseus. The feasting is ended. The minstrel has sung so vividly of the ruin and death at Troy that Odysseus is greatly moved. The king notices this and asks the handsome stranger to tell his story. Odysseus answers, Mighty Alcinous, honored of all men, good indeed it is to hear the minstrelsy of such a singer, for he sings even as a god. Never, I think, can man attain a fairer goal than this, when all a people meet in joy and friendship. Side by side, they sit in the great hall at feast and hear the minstrel's song. Now, if you didn't know what a minstrel was before, you would know now, wouldn't you, by the context? As he mentioned singing, song, that everybody's enjoying it. Beside them stand tables heaped with meat and bread, while ever he who serves the wine dips from the mixing bowls and fills the feasters' cups. Such scenes I deem of all scenes sweetest. But your heart now urges you to ask what sorrow brings forth these sighs, though this but leads me to sigh and weep the more. Nay, then, what shall I tell you first, and what leave to the last? For many a sorrow the gods that dwell on high have given me to be my lot. So he's trying to decide, what should I tell? Where should I start? The story is long, and lots of bad things have happened, so where do I start? And first of all, I will tell you forth my name, that you, like all, may know it, and at last, when I have shunned death's cruel day, may we be friends still, host and guest, though I dwell far away. I am Odysseus, great Laertes' son, for cunning plans of every kind known among men, and even to heaven has spread my fame. My native land is Ithaca, a sun-bright island where rises Neriton, a mountain far seen with wind-stirred woods. About it lie many an island, close together, Dulichium, wooded Zacynthus, and Same. Ithaca itself is low of shore, and lies far out to sea and toward the west. The others lie toward the dawn and sunrise. Rugged it is, this land of mine, yet breeds a sturdy youth, and I can find no land more sweet to me than this, my native land. But come, for I will tell the many sorrows Zeus sent upon me as I traveled homeward from Troy. So now he's going to tell the story of going to the land where the guys are all on drugs. Adventure of the Lotus Eaters. Great Zeus, who guides the clouds, sent forth against our ships a wild north wind, a raging tempest, and enshrouded in dark clouds and land and sea. Deep night came rolling from on high. Our ships drove headlong, while their sails were riven asunder by that gale. but these we stored beneath the decks. So they took the sails and they were coming off. There was such a harsh wind, but they put them beneath the decks. Still toiling in dread of death and striving ever, rowed on and reached the land where dwell the lotus eaters, men whose food is flowers. And we all here went ashore and drew us water, and by the sides of their swift ships my men prepared their meal. And now when we at last had had our fill of meat and drink, I sent forth men to learn what manner of mankind that live by bread might dwell here. 2 I chose to go, and sent with them a third, a herald. And these quickly went forth into that land and mingled among the lotus eaters. Never did these men, eaters of the lotus, plan evil to my men, and yet they gave them of the lotus flower, and bade them eat of it, and lo, whatever man of them but tasted that blossom strange and honey sweet, not cared he then to hasten back with tidings to the ships, or ever turn homeward any more, but longed to dwell there with the lotus eaters, and pluck and eat the lotus blossoms, and think no more of home. So once they eat that lotus blossom, they get high, they don't want to go anywhere, they don't want to go home. They're just chilling. But these I brought back to the ship by force. Did you have a question? Anybody? Though they lamented, and I dragged them aboard the hollow ships and bound them beneath the benches. Then I bade the rest, my true companions, hasten aboard the ships, lest one of them taste of the lotus too, and lose all memory of home. So straightway they came aboard, and sat them down in order on the thwarts, and smote the foam with sea with oars. So thence we sailed upon our way, sad-hearted. So he's a little upset that his men would so easily forget about going home and just be trapped by these drug users. And the drug sounds oddly similar to opium poppies. You know, the opium is that strong drug from which we make heroin and morphine, and it comes in a flower. And he was talking about the lotus eaters. Could have been opium. Adventure of the Cyclops. Oh, this is my favorite one, in the movie especially. And now we come into the land where dwell the Cyclops, arrogant and lawless beings, who with trust in the undying gods plow not, nor plant with the hands a single plant. Yet crops spring up for them, unsown, on fields untended, wheat and barley and vines that bear full clustered grapes to make them wine. The reign of Zeus still brings increase in all. So how do the Cyclops get their food? How do they? Look at line 129, right above line 130. Gabriel?
129?
Mm-hmm.
Hold up. Unswarm. On fields, unattended.
Yeah, crops do what?
They grow.
Yeah, untended. They don't even have to do anything. Unsown means they never sowed the seeds. Sowing seeds is throwing them out to be planted. So they don't have to do anything, and these crops just spring up for them because they're like favored, part of the Titans. The reign of Zeus still brings increase in all. These men have neither meeting place for council nor settled laws. They live apart on lofty mountain ridges, dwelling in hollow caverns. Each makes laws for wife and child and gives no heed to any save himself. There lies, facing the Cyclops land, an island sheltering the haven's outer side, not near nor yet far out. Thither we sailed, seeking the land. Surely it was some god that gave us guidance thither through the dense night, for we could see nothing before our eyes. The mist shut close about the ships. No moon showed forth in heaven, for clouds enclosed it. So no man with his eyes beheld that isle, or saw the long seas rolling against the land, till we had beached our well-benched ships. We drew our ships forth on the sands, and lowered sail, and we ourselves went up beyond the breaking of the seas, and there we fell asleep. and lay awaiting the sacred dawn. Okay, can I get a popcorn? Anybody want to read? Yeah. Okay. Nobody? But when the dawn came, early born and rosy-fingered, he always calls dawn rosy-fingered. Have you ever been up early in the morning and looked in the east and seen pink clouds that are kind of wispy going across like that? Or even have you? Or how about in a picture of it? The Greek